I was muted. Hey, everybody. Welcome to an episode of Standing Out. I'm Trey Greggs, founder and CEO of Beta Consulting Group. We're excited that you are here. Episode 224 today, coming at you strong. Happy Thursday. Hope that the freight is flowing. Maybe the cigars are smoking. Who knows? I mean, you are finishing up a great week. Want to just point out a couple of things. First of all, tomorrow, it's Friday. It's Finish Strong Friday. Make sure you give it everything you got tomorrow. And come back at noon Central for an episode of Word on the Street. We're going to have the guys from Parade, Anthony Satarja, I think I pronounced that correctly, and Tony Wu. We're talking about ChatGPT and what it can do in logistics, as well as a special edition of Farby Fridays with David Farby from Edge Logistics. You don't want to miss it. Noon Central, Word on the Street tomorrow, right here on LinkedIn Live, Facebook, and YouTube. Also, when you get a chance, check out our website. I saw it scrolling across there on the bottom. We are helping companies, logistics companies, freight brokers, and logistics tech companies clarify their message. Words are so important when you're trying to grow revenue and build your company and build your brand. And so that's what we're doing, is clarifying your message. So reach out to us on betaconsultinggroup.com. You can schedule a 15-minute call with me. Love to hear your story and how we can help position you in a way to increase your leads and increase your conversions and grow your revenue. All right, everybody, it is time for today's episode. Normally, we have a lot of freight brokers on the show. We have some logistics tech partners on the show. But today, we're having my good friend from Lippert Components, which is a manufacturer out in Elkhart, Indiana. He is the transportation manager. Everybody get up for the one and the only Tony Darnell. What's up, buddy? This is a good song. This is a chill song, man.
Need to Breathe. It's a great band. They're one of the top 5 bands I've ever seen live. I go and see them every chance I can.
There's nothing like live music, man. There is nothing like live music. That's for sure. This is like Northern Indiana chill song. This is like cornfields and farmland vibe right here. That's what I'm feeling right now. Love it, man. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, Renee, thanks for being on the show. She's here to watch it. Can't wait to learn from you. Always a pleasure as well. Yeah, man, things are good, man. I'm glad that you're doing well. You're wearing the blue today. You know, it looks like we coordinated this blue-black thing. I mean, you know, we're on point today. This is impressive.
I'm going to logo it up.
Do you go to a lot of live music? Do you go to concerts? Is that one of your things to do?
That is one of my favorite things in the world. I love live music. I lived in Austin, so live music capital of the world. It's great.
That is true. Music That's true. There's probably some good stuff around Northern Indiana, some state festivals or some things that there's some good maybe bluegrass music going on up there, I bet.
Yeah, we have a bluegrass festival in the next town over from Mishawaka, where I live, in Osceola. We're the only place in the country that says Osceola with a short O, the Osceola, the long O. One of my shipping guys is in a band called Steel Rain, and they're a cover band. And he's amazing. You can find him on Facebook, and he's doing a cover of Journey, and it sounds great.
It's impressive. I love that. I love karaoke. I love anything live. It's just so good. Justin, what's up? Thanks for being here, man. Where are you coming from, Justin? Let us know where you're at in the universe. But yeah, I like live music as well. In fact, I just did something kind of crazy, Tony. I just joined a barbershop chorus here in St. Louis, and we'll be performing at the international competition in Louisville in July, and I'm pumped. That's some serious live music.
You're gonna have to send us the link to that.
Yeah, I'm definitely will have to. I'm kind of addicted to it. I'm listening to barbershop all day, every day right now. That's kind of the way that it's working. So, but it's all good. All right. So, hey, listen. So let's jump in and chat about a couple of things that I want to get to. First of all, tell everybody who you are and what do you guys do at Lippert?
So my name's Tony. I've been a shipping manager for a long time, and before that, I was a driver, and before that, I was an owner operator, and before that, I was a kid. So, pretty much the whole gamut there. Lippert is several different brand names under one umbrella. I think Lippert started out in the 50s by Jason's grandfather building mobile home chassis in Michigan, Kalamazoo, Michigan area. And over the years, through growth, acquisition, organic growth, we've branched out into RV parts, truck accessories, commercial truck, train, commercial refrigeration, boats, marine, all sorts of things. So we make laminated products, shade products. So your RV awning on the side of your camper, when you go sit under that awning, we probably made that awning. I think we're about 35% of an RV.
Yeah, it's a lot. As a former RV owner, I can confirm all of that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's go back for a minute. So you were a truck driver and then an owner operator. Yes. So you've seen the supply chain from the trucking side of it. What was that like when you got started in trucking, and how long did you do that for?
Well, I started out with a 1 ton, and I was hauling office trailers, job site mobile office trailers, oversized stuff, 10 foot wide, 30 feet long, stuff like that. They're really lightweight, but they're a parachute. They just don't, square box doesn't go through the wind very well.
That's true.
Yeah, nice try, Scott. uh,
What's up, Scott? What's up, buddy?
uh, yeah, it's interesting. On the truck side, you think you know everything, and I thought I knew everything, and then I learned that I didn't know anything. And that's no offense to the guys out there with the hustle doing the truck side, because there's a lot that they know that a lot of other people don't. But I thought I had it all figured out, and looking back, I was foolish. I didn't know what my cost to run was. I knew what my cost at the end of a trip was, and then I knew what I made, but I couldn't tell that beforehand. And I knew approximately a lot of the same runs. We were going to drop yards, so a lot of the same runs were happening. So I knew what I would make on each run after I did them a couple times to get the math figured out. But yeah, you think you know a lot, and then you learn a lot that you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely know more than those of us who haven't been in that seat. And that experience is pretty valuable. And now you're on the shipper side, on the manufacturer side. Did you ever sit in the freight brokerage seat?
For about 10 minutes.
You and me both.
I was at a company they were acquired by a large multinational conglomerate, and it was a spinoff of that and owned as a wholly owned subsidiary, blah, 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 one of those deals. And when they were done with the transition and me, they just escorted me off to the side, and I got severanced one summer. And I thought, well, what the heck? I know enough about dealing with these guys. I could probably do this and make some money quick. And I went to my buddy who had a brokerage. He's a carrier and a commodities exchange guy, like not the Chicago Commodities Exchange or anything. He had a barn with a conveyor, and he would take cottonseed and actual commodities and physically store them and redistribute them.
Sarah just emailed, she needs you in shipping.
And then I was thinking, he said, whenever my truck breaks down, I'll get on there and broker some loads, and I'll see if I can't figure out a couple of quick bucks. And I thought, well, shoot, I could probably do that. So I went and I tried it, and with no training, like everybody. And I was terrible. I was horrible. It was just not my cup of tea. I'm not in sales. I couldn't convince anybody to take anything. I got slammed on the phone. I got called all sorts of things. I empathize with those guys, but it's not for me, I don't think.
So you would rather receive the cold call than to make it, is what you're saying?
Can I go with neither?
You may. We go with option C. Neither. You don't want to receive it or give it. Yeah, I slung freight for a ball of 6 months, and that was enough for me to go, this isn't the best seat for me, but it was a good experience to at least learn that. You've had some kind of Wild West experience, it sounds like, on the trucking side and on the brokerage side, the limited experience that you had there. Those are great stories. And then you got into the shipping side. Was Lippert, you were at other places before Lippert, correct? Or was
Yes.
Lippert? Yeah, where all of you? What are some of the stuff?
This was my third stop as a shipper.
Okay.
Initially, it was for myself. When I was owner operator, I thought I was the guy, and then I was at the steel company that got acquired. But I started out as a driver, second shift driver, local, and I was sharing the day shift local guy's truck, and I would slip seat it at night, and it was horrible. And after about 18 months, I got my own truck, and woo, that was a big deal. And then a couple of years of that. I ended up moving. I finished college on the weekends, and I ended up moving into technical services and cost analysis, root cause, like a quality role, metallurgical properties and stuff. So all that boring stuff to find out that they asked me to go take over shipping. So a piece of cake. So I went over there and learned all the things that I didn't know again. And the guy that was in there before switched places with me, and he did the technical stuff. I went over to him probably 3 or 4 different times and apologized for being a jerk when I was driving for him, because I thought I knew all this stuff and he didn't know anything. And I learned all of that stuff and told him that I was sorry for not being better to him as a driver.
Sometimes in life we need those experiences just to give us a little humble pie and remind us that we don't know it all.
I'm not afraid to eat humble pie, man. It seems like I got a good habit of it. So.
We've had a good dose. Yeah, you get a good dose from time to time, especially if you try new things. I think you get a good dose of humble pie if you try new things and realize I didn't know anything about that. So that's good. All right, let's talk about Lippert for a minute. So you guys have been on a growth trajectory that's been crazy. I think when we met and when you were first at Lippert, you guys were maybe a $3 billion or $2 billion company, annual revenue company. and now you're what, 6 or 7 billion?
5.2
5
last year.
billion? 5.2 billion last year.
5.2.
Okay, and then maybe trajectory closer to 6 this year. I thought I saw that number somewhere. So, I mean, obviously that timing sometimes is everything when it comes to products and product market fit. Obviously with the pandemic, RVing and boating went up because they're outdoor activities and things that you could do even in the midst of a pandemic.
Yes.
So people were buying RVs like crazy. You guys obviously were getting orders like crazy. And we bought our RV during that time. So I remember that whole process as a buyer. So, timing is everything, but you guys have kind of sustained that trajectory here for the last 3 years. What is it like being the managing the transportation, being a transportation manager with this sustained strong growth, having to, continually outsource and find carriers and make sure product gets shipped?
It's great because being busy is way easier than being slow. When you're slow and you have a fleet of guys and people that are looking for a 50-hour work week and you're running like 38, being busy is way easier than being slow in freight, because even if the load isn't full, the same customers are ordering and you got to get it there. And so your efficiency goes way down and your KPIs are in the toilet, and you're there to explain that to people who are holding you accountable for that. And it's really tough to maintain decent KPIs when you still have to worry about customer satisfaction, because Fortune 500 companies that have fleets, it's like an 89%. There was a magazine article somewhere that questioned a bunch of these guys that have private fleets in companies our size. And they said 89% of the respondents, their primary reason was customer service. So we're not a profit center and we're operating at a loss. It's a value added service to the sale. So we run our trucks out, and instead of getting a backhaul, our guys come back because they come back straight back so that they can turn around and go again, because that's more valuable than trying to recoup some cost on the backside and having to go past here to maybe Chicago to deliver. So it's a challenge, but it's definitely better when you're busy.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And you guys have your own assets, but obviously not enough to cover everything. So you're working with brokers out there. Talk about the environment right now. How many phone calls and emails are you fielding a day from freight brokers, looking for freight?
Well, I'll tell you, it started in late December and it has grown every day since then. I think it's quite a bit. There's a lot of people looking for keeping their trucks busy and keeping their book of business open and keeping going, looking to add. Everybody's the best one I'll hear from this week. It's a challenge to try and find somebody that's not the same. There's a template and it's basic. Are you muted, Trey?
Thank you. So let's help the freight brokers out there. What are some things that you hear or approaches that you've seen that actually get your attention and make you go, oh, I'd like to know a little more about this, or I'd like to talk to this person?
So the way I tell people is, I mean, we spoke about this earlier, but I was at a church where we were talking about giving to missions and stuff. And the analogy they used was the light that shines farthest shines brightest at home. And whenever anybody asks me about how to get into brokerage and how to be successful, I always recommend that they go knock on their neighbor's door, get in the town that you're in and get to the industrial parks, get to the places that are shipping and become the face in front of them and get to know them. So I guess for me, it'd probably be like interact on LinkedIn, start talking, make a name for yourself, own your own brand. And then, that's how I got to know you guys, during the pandemic, when we were all bored at home looking for something to do, we started chatting and getting to know each other. And, I met you and, all these other guys that have, and girls that have become really good friends. And now we get together and
We
we
may
do
have
business.
played a little golf. We may have played a little golf.
Played a little golf once or twice. And that's how you get in.
Yeah. And so,
Golf.
do you think that freight brokers in general do a bad job of local networking and local prospecting?
I think
you're
you're big
calling nationally on the phones.
Yeah, I think the big offices, where they have 14 satellite offices in every town, are probably really bad at that. But I think your mom and pop stores, your brokerages that are smaller, tend to do a little bit better job of knocking on doors, because it's just the difference between a boutique and a service center. You're going to get service center quality at a service center, and you're going to get boutique service at a smaller place.
So you prefer somebody to come by and shake your hand and get to kind of meet them face to face versus, yeah. Talk to me
Always.
about do you have an email, a cold email or a cold call that really stands out as somebody who did it well? Anything come to mind? Are they all pretty much the same right now?
You know, there's so many and nothing really sticks out. I mean, they try and reference something that I posted on LinkedIn or something, and that's great, but at least it's not a cookie cutter, and I applaud them for that. And I respect the hustle because, like I said, I tried it and couldn't do it. But the knock on the door is way more effective.
Has anyone been sending you a video? That's kind of a new thing now, to send you a welcome video or a personalized video.
I have gotten a couple of videos, and that I honestly, I mean, if it gets past our firewall and I'm allowed to play it, then yeah, I'll watch it.
Yeah, yeah, because that's a kind of a new way to make it a little more personal, at least, to throw your name in there, something like that. So it's interesting, the times that we're in, because the freight brokers who are now making these cold calls, a lot of them started in 2021 when they never had to do it, and it's a shock to their system to have to do this kind of stuff to get out there and make calls or send emails and that type of thing. So it's great to hear your perspective on the back end of receiving those emails. How many emails are you getting a day? What's that up to now?
Oh, let's see. Let me pull it up here. Let's see what I have. I have over 1,000 right now, but they're not all from today. I probably got about 30 or 40 today.
Yeah, 30 or 40 prospecting emails a day. Yeah, that's a lot. What was it like in 2021 when freight was just flying off the shelf?
3.
Was it the same? Yeah, 3.
Yeah,
Man,
nobody
it's
was.
such a
I was
difference.
calling them.
Yeah, exactly. Such a difference right now. Such a difference. What do you look for? So personal. We talked about this a little bit. A personal relationship is really important to you and a logistics partner. What else? What are some other keys that really make a logistics partner stand out for you?
So it's trust, really. I mean, everybody says this, but the relationship does matter because you have to have trust. I know some of the bigger brokerages, you have a fail rate of maybe 1.5%, 2%, and that's legit. I get it. It's a volume of numbers and law of averages, but I can't be any of that 1.5 or 2% because that's my job on the line. So when I'm partnering with you and we're using you as a vendor, you're seeing my customer, and it's not my customer, it's my salesman's customer, and I'm answering to sales. Sales is making the promise, and I have to fulfill it. And if I choose you as a partner, as a brokerage, if you can't fulfill that, I have to answer for that. And I can't take the excuse of the truck broke down because the customer doesn't care. He hired us to deliver these products, and they have to get there one way or another. And if we shut their assembly line down, that's a big problem.
So when you look at a potential partner, what are the things that you're asking for to get a feel for trust? Is it a gut feeling based on relationship? Are you asking for some data around their performance? What kind of due diligence are you doing with brokers and carriers to make sure that you have the right partners?
I don't think that there's any data set that anybody that can provide anything that would be trustworthy. And I mean that to no offense to anybody who's providing that service, but everybody's on time, right? If you ask them, all salesmen are honest. If you ask them, I'm looking for the relationship and the trust. And then we got to be here in the last year or so, we decided to just become proactive. So when we do business with somebody that we're not familiar with, or even if it's just been a couple of months, I will send out we have a carrier expectations document that we actually send out to them. And we tell them what we expect from them, how much communication, and then we hold them to it. I don't want to ask you the ETA when you have a day to pick up. I want you to tell me the ETA. Our truck will be here at this time. Here's the trucking company name. Here's the guy or gal that's driving.
I have a good friend who says that success is the product of proper expectations. That when you set the right expectations, then that's the mark of success in that regard. Mark wants to know, what's the best way you've seen someone build trust in the very beginning of a sales process? That's a good question. Thanks, Mark.
Show up.
Show up in person?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
it's easy to build a relationship with somebody you're looking in the eye.
Yeah. Or having a meal with, or something like that. It's interesting because I think during the COVID period, we learned that you can sell virtually, but it's more of a have to than probably want to, but you can. And I think that some people are still in that realm of, well, we don't need to go, we don't need to travel, we don't need to be places. I think that's still continuing quite a bit. But you want somebody just to walk in, grab a meal, sit down, look each other in the face, talk eye to eye, and to you, that's what it's all about.
I want them to see my dock. I want them to see the guys that are loading the trucks. I want them to understand that those guys are depending on you. And when they get that realization and that understanding, then we're not just shipper number 27 for this month. We're that guy. We're the ones that we gotta perform for.
I have a feeling you're going to have about 20 freight brokerage sales guys on your door next week after this. Might be making trips to Elkhart, Indiana, which is a great place. I mean, the RV tours alone are worth the trip alone. But that's pretty cool. That's good to know. I love hearing about your process. You know, another thing we talked about, I put a poll out recently. I asked shippers for feedback on the tech that brokers are starting to provide. I had some freight brokers say, well, hey, we need to provide our customers with more tech, more visibility. And I asked shippers, I said, do you feel like you're getting enough, tech from shippers? Is it too much? Is it not enough? Is it just right? You put that it's too much. Talk about what you meant by that brokers are giving you too much technology. What do you mean by that?
First of all, I want to know what the results of the poll were.
It's a good question. I should look that up. I don't even think I pulled that. Let me see if I can pull that while you're talking. Why don't you chat and I'll see if I can find it.
All right, because I'm curious as to whether I'm the outlier or not. But honestly, here's my thing. If I have a relationship and I trust you and you take my load and drive away with it, I expect it to be delivered. If I have to check up on you with some kind of tech or tracking, that's your job with your truck. As a broker, you need that tech for you. I don't need your tech. I just need to know that you're going to handle it. I don't need any of that. None of that there's no value there. I'm not going to stop my day and ensure that you're doing your job of getting my load there that I gave to you. Once you signed that paperwork, you took possession of it. I don't want to follow it anymore until you send me the POD.
Yeah. Do you think that's a product of being at Lippert, where you guys probably have some technology in play? And I imagine some other shippers would maybe not have technology in play. How do you think that, how do you think you guys compare to maybe a smaller mom and pop shipper? Okay. I got it, by the way. So, there weren't a lot of results, but 80% of the people said more than I need. So you were actually in the majority.
I had a feeling, but I wasn't sure. But yeah, we have GPS and cameras in our trucks, and the guys love it. Especially the ones that have been cleared of incidents when they see the camera footage. Because I don't know, I think the University of Michigan came out with a study a couple of years ago that it's something like 85%. Don't quote me on the stats, I don't remember, but it's something like 80-something% of all car truck interactions that are collisions are the car's fault. And I've seen that 100 times, in the videos that our guys have had. We had a guy cross the center line on a 2-lane highway and claimed that our truck swerved and crashed into them, but we had the video, thank goodness. The guy wasn't hurt, but his car was trashed and our truck had a whole lot of repairs that needed done. And it was a big ordeal, but it could have been, it was bad. It could have been fatal.
Yeah, it's interesting how truck drivers at first weren't too happy about cameras in the cab and on there, but now that they see that can vindicate them of innocence in an accident, that's huge. Scott says that Chris Jolly said it many times. Your tech means nothing if the truck doesn't show up. So true. Just get the job done, right? Just get the job done. It's so good. All right, another question here. We got a lot of questions. It's great. What's the best save the day from a broker you've ever seen? Justin's got some hot questions today, some fire questions.
Oh, Justin, classic deal. So I'm going to go back to my favorite broker of all time, and he's no longer in brokerage, but he was a TQL guy. His name's Ryan Morrow. He's on LinkedIn. He's a friend of mine. You can reach out to him if you want and friend him because he's a smart dude too. I was at a Bed Bath & Beyond on a Saturday, and something came up, and the boss called from the steel company, needed this, that, and the other, and I needed a truck pronto. I'm in the towel section, and I call Ryan. I'm like, hey, here's this deal, and he knew the lane. He knew that he'd been working with me before, so he knew our side. He knew the customer side, and I was like, dude, I need a truck. I know this is a long shot. I know it's Saturday, and bam, like 20 minutes later, I had a truck. Save of the day, baby.
Yeah. When guys can come through like that, you never forget it, especially when you're pretty desperate and you like that. I love that. Great question,
Justin. Not in brokerage, and I'm still tooting his horn.
That's impressive. See, here's the deal. I think everybody should have the approach that in every interaction that they have, they're trying to make somebody's day so much that they'll talk about them at dinner. If they can get Tony Darnell to go home and say, you guys aren't going to believe what happened today with this, broker, with this carrier, that's somebody who's gone above and beyond, to really make the day. As my friend talks about Silver Platter Service down in Florida. Oh, his name's escaping me right now. Anyways, he has a speech called Silver Platter Service. Randy Fox is a motivational speaker, and he talks about Silver Platter Service, just going a little extra, a little above and beyond. And That's so important. It's so good. All right, Tony, we got to pause for a second. Every day we like to celebrate the National Day. We just had Easter last weekend. Do you know what today's National Day is?
No, I think yesterday was like National Pet Day or something.
I know they're all weird. Today's National Scrabble Day. Are you a Scrabble fan, a Scrabble player?
I
You seem
used
like you
to
might
play
be
Scrabble
deathly
with my
into it.
grandmother all the time. My grandma would
Yeah.
smoke us with all these words that we didn't know. She was awesome.
Dude, there's these things in the past that we have lost a little bit in our culture, Scrabble and crosswords and things like that, like, solving the New York Times crossword or different crosswords that really helps our vocabulary. But I had a feeling you were a Scrabble guy, that you've got some game when it comes to that. Can you think of the best word, the best scoring word you've ever had? Can you remember that?
Oh, I don't remember that. It was very long, and I think I put like an ES on the end of it or something.
Got to be like xylophones or something, something like that.
Something with an X and a J.
You got to have those. That's right. You got to have those. I haven't played Scrabble in years. I should get that out for my daughters. We should play that.
Yeah.
National Scrabble Day, everybody. Yeah, I'm curious. I wonder what the best word is. There's got to be a website we can look this up. What the best word is? We'll have to figure that out. Okay, well, that's a good one. Sometimes they're weird. That's a decent one. Okay, we also like to ask the random question of the day. We let our podcast director Ruth let her come up with these questions every day. Sometimes they're funny. Sometimes they're serious. Sometimes they're really good questions. Sometimes, not so great. Let's see what today's is. What food should taste better than its appearance? Oh.
Mexican street corn. I bought some at Costco because it looked awesome. It's in a bag, it's frozen, and everybody says it's so much better when you make it fresh, but it has the seasoning on it and all that powder, and I love Mexican food, and I love corn, and I got it out and
didn't come through.
Made it, and I was so disappointed. I wanted it to be good. I wanted it so badly to be good. It wasn't.
Sounds like a recent problem.
Within the last year, but
a little passion in there from that. It's a memorable one. So Mexican corn didn't do it for you. Okay. No. All right. I like that. For me, because I like some seafoods, but I don't actually like lobster. I like salmon. I like shrimp. I like crab. For some reason, lobster looks good, but it's too chewy for me. I'm not a big fan of it. So that's for me one that I wish tasted a little better, but maybe it's just I'm not having it the right way. I have had it with lots of butter and lots of lemon, but I don't know. Not my thing. But
is it texture or taste?
I think it's more texture probably, but I think it affects the taste because you're like, this isn't really, because octopus is a similar texture, and I actually like that. I actually like octopus. I had it down in Colombia. It's amazing. Fried octopus is amazing down there. Yeah, but not a huge fan of lobster. So I don't know. I'll go that route. Good question. That's a good question today. Not a bad question. I like that. All right, Tony, listen, we got to end on this. You're at Lippert. We see the sign on the wall, signs of cultural health. My friend Jason Lippert, who's CEO over there, and I guess you're maybe not direct boss, but one of your bosses. He's really into leadership. You guys have taken this very seriously. Talk about the culture of leadership at Lippert real quick, and what has really turned the corner for you guys in the last several years with leadership development.
So about 10 years ago, this place was not some place that anybody wanted to work, and it was kind of a joke around the town. Now we're all over the world, but around here, I mean, nobody wanted to work at Lippert. It was high turnover and terrible conditions. And, Jason's personal faith journey is what caused him to decide that we got to treat our people better. And there's only so many people in this small town of, like 80,000. So it's not like you can just keep running through people. You're going to run out pretty quick. And word of mouth goes fast in a small town. So
and then you end up with only the desperate people that need a job, not the good people. Yeah.
And it's been a 10-year journey, and we're by no means crossing the finish line. There's a lot of places, we've got a lot of room left to grow, but I'm just 2.5 years into the journey, but sorry, Diana. It was from Costco. It was frozen. But going down that journey and taking steps in the right direction, and they took intentional steps long before I was here. And I was skeptical of how good the place was. And when they called, I was like, yeah, I'll come interview just because I want to kick the tires. You know what I mean? I wanted to see if what I saw on LinkedIn was anywhere near reality. And I walked in and I got a factory tour, and I saw people on the assembly line smiling and having fun. And I'm like, trailer factory people are kind of gross and unhappy. And there were people that were happy and smiling. I had a guy tell me he loved his job, and I was like, what? So it was very intentional and very direct, and everybody says it, but I mean, Lippert decided to put their money where their mouth was, and we have an entire cultural development team. I mean, there's a VP of cultural development. I have my own guy. I have a guy that's like my life coach. I can talk to him about anything, and I set time apart
on the Lippert payroll, which is so cool. Like, I love it.
We invest heavily, not just social media or anything. All of that's organic. I mean, I think we have a social media people that do the Lippert site, but everything else that we put up there is just because we like it and we want to share that. So we've gotten to the point where other companies come to us now, and we have the Lippert Leadership Academy where other companies come to us and ask us how to do that with their company. And we're just trying to spread the word, because it's not a profit center per se, but it's one of those things where if we make your town better with your company, they're going to go home and be better people to their families. And that's what we want for our people. And at the end of the day, we're making the world a better place by making parts for boats and planes and RVs.
Yeah, I love that. It starts with a vision and with a conviction to make people's lives better. And then it's followed up with consistency. And you guys have done that so well. I'm incredible. In fact, the first time I learned about this from you and from Jason, I've had him on my podcast a few times. And the amount of money that you're pouring into leadership development, hiring people that their only job is to go around and make sure that Tony is happy, that Tony has what he needs, and Tony can grow and his family's taken care of and all those kind of things. The amount of investment that you guys have is incredibly impressive.
We have Lippert University, which is hundreds of classes. I mean, I don't know if it's available to everybody out there, but I know it's available to me. And I go on there. You can learn anything you want about DOT on Lippert U. You can learn about Excel on Lippert U. You can learn about how to manage your finances at home on Lippert U. We literally took this so serious that we have an app for that.
Wow. That's incredible. I didn't even know about all that. I mean, that you guys had like a database of classes or instructional material. Hundreds. That is incredible. And I know you guys have a leadership summit, which is usually in May, Notre Dame Stadium. Several speakers come in for that. I mean, it is really impressive how you guys have pushed into that. How have you seen that be a huge benefit from an ROI perspective? I'm curious about that as we kind of close. I know we're a little over, but man, this is so fascinating.
So, what the main thing that it does is we have 15,000 team members on the payroll here, and what it does is it makes people happy at work. And when they're happy at work, they're happy at home, and when they're happy at home, they come back to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the ROI is longevity.
Productivity is up. Yeah, because it's costly to lose employees. You have to hire somebody new, train them, all those kind of things.
It's expensive.
I mean, I think there's a lot that can be learned just from what you guys are doing, but it just makes sense. It's funny you said Jason had this journey that he really wanted to like help people have a better life. That should just be like straightforward, simple, common sense, but it's hard because when you're in a business, you think about money, you think about revenue, you think about profits, you think about those types of things. And a lot of times you forget about the people.
It's anti-cyclical
possible.
But at some degree, you have to look at when you treat your people well, they treat you. What is that? Train somebody enough to where they can go and then treat them so well that they don't. Whoever said that, Tim.
Train them well enough that they can go anywhere, but treat them well enough they never want to leave.
Yeah, it was either the Virgin guy or Steve Jobs or something. But that's kind of like the nutshell philosophy that we use here, and it's great. I love it. I love being part of that.
It's so good. I'm hopeful to get to the Purpose Summit, if not this year, next year. But for those who want to learn more about it, you can go to purposesummit.com and you can learn about it, pick up a ticket, and potentially find yourself in Notre Dame Stadium for a leadership conference, which is pretty awesome. So thepurposesummit.com. Tony, listen, man, it's always a pleasure. We could be on here for another half hour. I'm sure it'd be a lot of fun, but you probably need to get back to work. So do I. But again, always a pleasure to have you on the show. We got a lot of freight brokers next week at TIA. I'm sure I'll hear a little bit about this from them, and you might end up with a few knocking on your doorstep. You never know. Might get a couple making a trip to Elkhart.
Hey, we're not adding any vendors at this time. Thank you.
No vendor calls, please. We're not adding anybody. Well, hey, listen. Again, thanks for being on the show. We'll have to have you back on again sometime soon. And thanks for being such a great friend, man. I really appreciate it.
Likewise, appreciate you, Trey.
All right, everybody. Listen, hey, we got a big show tomorrow, noon Central. Word on the street. Make sure you come back. We're going to talk Chat GPT and logistics as well as Farby Fridays. Have a wonderful afternoon, everybody. We'll see you on another episode real soon. Peace.